Hey, everybody, welcome to Shut Up and Listen to Her. Her Health Matters. I am Bree, and I am here with Tiphany Kane, my amazing co host. And our wonderful guest today is Eshani Surya. We're so glad to have you here. We got so much to catch up on. Yes, that's her book, Ravishing. You need to go out and get it. We'll be putting more information up during the show on that. I've even got a QR code all scheduled and ready for that. So we're on top of it. But we're going to dive into this episode. We were supposed to be live last week. And for those of you that don't know, I spent last week in the hospital getting told by doctors that I am just a whiny woman who is fat. And it was really a pleasant experience. They gave up on me and sent me home. Thus, to, continue to pursue this on my own and find the right doctors who are ready to help me in this journey. I'm doing okay. I that's been one of my biggest things. This experience. Everybody knew I was in the hospital, all my friends and my coworkers and things like that. But they're like, "How are you feeling better?" And that's a hard question for me to answer because I feel the same as when I went in. They didn't fix anything. They didn't do anything. So I guess it kind of frustrates me because I didn't get any help. And so am I feeling better? No, I'm actually more pissed off. So, and Tiphany, you've been going through some stuff as well. Why don't you give us a quick catch up before we dive into this real quick and tell us the experience you've had this week?
So my experience this week is not quite as dramatic, darling Bree. It's kind of more of that classic, wonderful, chronic illness. Some days are good and some days you can't get out of bed. My blood pressure has been kind of all over the place. I've had super low days, 80s over 50s, and super high, like in the same day. Yesterday started out 170 something over 105 in the morning, and then mid-afternoon it was like 83 over 56. So that just leaves me not being able to function when my blood pressure is doing that. So yeah, it's just been a couple of days of that, of like brain literally not working, and just kind of watching TV because I can't even read emails or read a book. And that's that. How about you, Eshani? How have you been doing?
I'm really grateful. I have found out recently that my ulcerative colitis appears to be in remission, which means I will be getting a colonoscopy soon to make sure that's actually the case.
Oh, yay, colonoscopy.
I'm really good at those colonoscopies. I get them annually. But yeah, I also have POTS and OCD. So those things pop up here and there for me, particularly the OCD, depending on where I am in my life. And things are obviously very stressful in the world right now as well. So I've been trying to manage that with all the good coping techniques that I have.
Can I ask you a quick question? Because I think this is a challenge that most women that go to the doctor have. For instance, I have anxiety, which usually is just fine, but I found that like in Change of Life, it kind of went crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And so once we say to a doctor, hey, I feel like I need help, OCD or anxiety or feeling a little blue, depression, like everything gets attributed to that,
Mm-hmm.
everything.
Mm-hmm.
Are your doctors, do they use your OCD to explain everything, or is it simply just another part of your symptoms, your challenges that need to be treated? Does that make sense?
It definitely makes sense. It is in my chart that I have OCD. I was diagnosed through the same hospital system, though, that I go to for the rest of my medical care. And I wonder how that might help the situation a little bit, that kind of notes and things can be in the same place. I feel in some ways grateful that my illness has some very tangible symptoms. So it's diarrhea, it's bleeding. I think it's hard for them to argue with me that I am experiencing blood, for example. And I think that really can help. But I have had at times, sometimes nurses in particular, surprisingly, normally it's the doctors, but it's actually been some of the nurses in my case who will say things to me like, oh, that symptom doesn't match what is the definition of ulcerative colitis. And I've had ulcerative colitis for 10 years. I know my body. I know when I'm getting into a flare. I know those symptoms. And I've had to really push back. And I find that one of the best ways for me to push back is to say, well, can I get X thing that has helped me in the past? So can I get X test, or can I get this medicine that has helped me in the past? Really being tangible with them, I think, has been useful, though obviously it depends on the provider you get, how they're going to respond to that.
Yeah. Now, what about with the POTS? Because I find that a lot of people don't, they come up against a lot of resistance when it comes to their POTS symptoms.
Yeah. So I actually saw a cardiologist who was a POTS specialist and did not even get a tilt table test. Can you imagine? I went into this.
They're not wanting to do them as much anymore. They're not finding. Yeah.
And I was actually really grateful because I didn't really want to go through this exam. And they heard my whole story, and basically they said, yeah, it kind of sounds like you have something like POTS, and I believe you. And that was the most incredible thing to receive.
Who is this doctor, and can we put them on blast?
I'm in the UPenn medical system, and I'm not advocating that everything that happens there is great. And I have had some providers that have not been great. But overall, I do feel well cared for in that system. So those of you who are in that area, maybe check it out as well.
Nice.
Wow.
Excellent.
Yeah, I think you have to call out when you do get really good care. And when you, I went to my PCP yesterday, and I adore her. Can she help me? No, she can't help me, but like, this is all overwhelming to her and she isn't sure. But I went in, I had what I wanted to say. I had my questions. I had the things I needed to get done. And she is always willing to do anything I ask her to do. And for me, that's exactly what I needed yesterday. I looked at it. So it was funny because I watched a TV show called The Pit. I love The Pit. It's so cool just to see all this stuff. And they have a new doctor on there, and she does everything AI. So she's bringing around this recorder that does all the AI stuff. So it'll record their doctor's meetings with patients and then put it all in the notes, and it gets it really accurately because it's recording what they're actually saying and talking about and things like that. Well, then I went to my PCP and she did the same thing, and she pulled out her recorder and recorded our whole session, and she spent 33 minutes with me. I know that because that's what it recorded. And so that I was grateful for that, because that's kind of a long appointment to see a doctor these days. And she went through and gave me all the referrals that I wanted. In fact, I've already scheduled one of those referrals today, the next day, which is fantastic. So I think it is really important when you get someone that's even if they don't understand it all, it's out of their realm of specialty, they're willing to go that extra step for you, or say, I hear you and I recognize that this is, so she gave me the working diagnosis that I was looking for, because for me to get the referrals I need to have a working diagnosis in my chart. So we went with the interstitial congestion or lymphatic congestion, so that I could get into the lymphedema departments and get referrals, a therapist, and all these other things. And it is such a marvelous feeling when someone says, I hear you, I hear your symptoms, I read your chart, and I agree and accept that that's what it is. You're literally inside, you're jumping up and down screaming, yeah, finally, right?
Something else. It's completely something else. And I have recommended this doctor to many, many, many friends at this point.
I think you have to. And, I wanted to kind of touch on the fact that when we talk about what it is to be a good patient, I know all of us have had feeling like we're not great patients because we're so pushy. But I think, and I'd love your guys' take on this. I think to be a good patient, you have to be pushy and you have to speak up for yourself. And I think that's part of what makes it great. I know, Tiphany, I know you've gotten a lot of backlash on social media from people saying, first of all, why are you putting this out on social media? But I think it's to encourage women and others to speak up for themselves and to talk about what's happening in their medical, you are your best advocate. But how have you guys, what does it mean to be a good patient to you?
Go for it, Eshani. Do you want to?
Yeah.
Because I think you talk about it a lot in your book
Yeah.
too, of that.
I think there's a difference in what it means to me to be a good patient and what it means societally to be a good patient, but I think there can be overlap here and there. And so for me, being a good patient means advocating for myself, asking the questions that I need to ask, and I think also having a dialogue with my provider. I really want to have a working relationship with the people that I get care from. And part of that is because I want to recognize that asking your doctor to have all the answers for you feels like a very Western way of looking at medicine as well, as opposed to collaborating and kind of creating a feeling of community with your medical providers. And obviously, that's also hard for them to do when they have so many patients, so much work, all the insurance bullshit they have to deal with, like all of these things. So I try to make a lot of space for that in my life, and also seek out providers where I can do that. But I think that societally, people think about those who always show up to their appointments, are always in a good mood, downplay their symptoms, actually have good insurance, which means that they're able often to work or are married or whatever way that they're able to get insurance, are documented versus undocumented, all these different things. And if you don't fit into that mold, you get called a problem patient. You get called a pain medication seeker. Oh, I think that's the other thing. If your symptoms aren't tangible, that's what I was touching on earlier in the show, because mine are tangible, it's easier for me to slot into this good patient model. I think a lot of people with chronic pain really struggle to be taken seriously.
Yeah. I'm going to agree 100% with everything you're saying and add to it of now that I have had the joyful experience of being part of a clinical trial and the way the doctors and staff treat you when you're part of a clinical trial, like they have raised the bar for me. I literally was at an appointment on Tuesday, and I am their most quote unquote difficult clinical trial patient because my surgery didn't go right. I had lots of complications, blah, 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 because I'm me. And I said, oh, am I your most difficult patient? And they're like, no, we are so sorry that we've caused all these problems for you. We're here for you. Message us anytime. Like I message them, they're back with me within an hour or two, and they're managing, they're getting me into the office. So that has raised the bar for me of, you know what, there's really, really great providers out there that want to take care of patients. So now for me, the good patient is I will do, my doctor says change your diet. Okay, I'm going to change my diet. My doctor says take this medication. Okay, I'm going to take this medication. But I also, as a good patient, am going to say, what next? I'm also, as a good patient, not to expect my problems to be solved, right? Like I have chronic issues that I was born with and will never go away. So my thing is quality of life, and how do we minimize damage so that I can live as healthy as possible for as long as possible. And that is my goal. And I think part of being a good patient is letting your doctor know what your goal is. I'm not asking you to solve this. I'm not asking you to cure me. I can't be cured, but I would like to live as healthy as possible for as long as possible. And I'm willing to do the work.
I love that.
Yeah, I agree. And, out of my recent experience, I try to be the good patient. I try to get what I need across, but I feel like I've been struggling with this for so long now that I'm disappointed. Disappointment doesn't feel like the right word to me. I am crushed, heartbroken and crushed. I experienced that last week at the hospital. I had a generalist, and he was one of the 3 doctors that told me that I was just fat, because he's like, we don't see any free fluid. And I'm like, this is fluid. You can see it by how it moves and how it reacts and what it does. It is not fat. I couldn't get him to hear me, I guess is what it felt like. Like he was so 100% sure that it was just my diet and it was just me. And it had nothing to do with an actual health issue, that I broke down. I was hysterical. I sobbed like my cat had just died or something, like that heart-wrenching. I couldn't stop myself because I didn't know how to reach him. I didn't know. And I thought to myself afterwards, when he left, I believe with the same opinion, but willing to at least give me a few more tests on things. I feel like such despair, I think, is really a good word for it.
Yeah.
It was utter despair that I wasn't going to find what I was looking for. And I wasn't looking for a solution. I was looking for acknowledgement and a willingness. And I even told him that I need a Sherlock Holmes, whoever is willing to look into this enough to help me.
Yeah.
It's your Hippocratic oath. You said you were going to help people, and you're not. You sent me home now with no diagnosis, with nothing that I have now had to pursue on my own. I am my only advocate in this. That was the hard. I don't know if that was being a good patient or not, but I just sobbed to him. I didn't know what else to do. What do you do in that circumstance when you've got this medical system burnout and you're so tired of being disappointed and things not getting fixed? What do you do? How do you handle that? Eshani, how have you handled some of that?
It's so difficult. And I think one of the ways that I have handled it is switching providers, but that's not obviously something that's available to everyone. Again, often insurance has a hand in that. And also how many specialists are in the area. And it is not just an easy thing to tell someone to go get a second opinion. But sometimes that is what I've had to do. I have definitely cried in doctors' offices as well. And I think wondered that maybe it does make some level of difference. I think sometimes we go in feeling like we have to be really mature and well-spoken about our conditions and things like that. And probably that is what they're sort of looking for. But on the other hand, when you have this swell of feeling and you need someone to know how bad it is, how can you not have an explosion of crying, right? So, and then I have a therapist. I have a community. I have a community of people who are also ill, because sometimes, as much as we'd love to see the system to change, in the moment, it's not going to, and we have to take care of ourselves.
100%. We really do. I what did I do when I found that I was just losing my mind and I reached out to Tiphany and I said, let's podcast about it.
Yeah.
This is our therapy. I always feel better after I do these episodes because it is like a venting. It is a commiserating. It is a damn, we're pissed kind of moment sometimes that I think you have to express in some way. Tiphany, what has it been like with you? Like you got, I don't want to say you got lucky, but you were proactive and said, I am going to change. You got into a clinical study, but that has to have been, I mean, I saw your frustrations and you sobbed in your car. I sobbed in a hospital bed with a roommate. Can I mention that I had a roommate at the hospital? So we were talking about all kinds of personal things, and my roommate was there with her husband and her 23-year-old son. It was just fine. I had no problem with it. Oh, it was horrible.
That was one of the benefits of me. I got flagged as having some sort of bacterial something, so I had to be. Everybody came in with yellow coats, the yellow covering, and fully gloved up and masked up, and I had to be on my own. And I laughed about it, and I'm like, well, I guess it's good. I got my own. I wanted to talk really quick, and I think this will answer your question, Bree. Eshani, you say, and you open your book with, the irony is that your body keeps the score because your mind wants to forget the tally. And it's from a book about who is wellness for. And I feel like in this, there's two things. When you are chronically ill for a long time, that almost becomes homeostasis for your body. It almost will just kind of keep going back there, which is why it's so important to catch things quickly, because once you get past a certain level, it's really, really hard, like, to go back to a healthy point, right? Like, once the damage is done, the damage is done, both physically, emotionally, mentally, like your body holds on to all of that. And then we live in this insane wellness culture where it's seen as a personal failing if you are not healthy, if you can't function in your day, if you can't be bright and cheerful and do all the things, and that the green juice doesn't make your life better. You know, then there's a personal failing to that. And then I think also something, you know, being a woman, and then for you, you know, woman of color, you've got a whole other layer of stuff. I just think that, Brie, I forgot your initial question, but I'm just going to say, I just think it's really complicated to be a chronically ill person in society today. Also, with all the political stuff going on, where you want to be involved, but then your nervous system is just like, you can't be as involved as you want to be. And your body is like, you can't be as involved. Like, if I could go out and protest every day, I would, but I can't, because my body can't handle it. So, I just think there's so many complications, and our body remembers it when we are sitting in the office crying, when we're sitting in the hospital crying, when we're sitting in our car crying, when our relationships are changing and shifting because we can't be the normal person. It's a big deal.
It is a very, very big deal. And I think your point about the way that wellness culture has really impacted a lot of us is super well taken, and is something I'm really interested in this book as well. I was interested at looking at wellness from a variety of angles. I almost think of the book as sort of a prism. So there's a social justice lens in the book, where we have a character who's not chronically ill, but who's trying to do constantly the right thing for people who are chronically ill, people of color. You have the main character who becomes chronically ill. It's really a story of her diagnosis in a lot of ways. And what she wants to be is beautiful, quote, beautiful. And she wants to get rid of the trauma that she experienced from her father. And in order to do that, she doesn't want to look like him anymore. So she uses this beauty cream that gets rid of any feature of his that looks like his. It's a sort of speculative fiction. And she believes that erasing that trauma will make her well, being beautiful will make her well. And then over the course of the book, really redefines what it means to be beautiful, and starts to lean into ugliness, and leans into being unwell is a form of wellness as well. And I really came upon that organically. You know, I think when I was first diagnosed, I bought into a lot of these beliefs around my life will be ruined now. You know, I'll never get to do the things that I wanted to do. No one will ever love me. Like, all of these things that we're told as a society. And this was in 2015. So it was back before. I mean, there's always been a heyday of wellness culture, right? Like, you know, the 90s had their anti-fats culture and things like that. But the way that we see it on social media now is so intense, and it's so in your face all the time. And then the addition of MAGA too has just accelerated that in a whole other way. And so, yeah, I did buy into this belief system, but over time I just kept doing things and understanding that my life was actually becoming fuller than it might have been if I hadn't been ill. And a lot of the relationships I had became very vulnerable, because you can't be in relationship, and I mean romantic and otherwise, with people who don't accept your body, who don't understand that your energy like might look different and things like that. And I started to shed the relationships that were less honest and open. And I felt like I was seeing this other dimension of human life where we could actually really love each other on this really, really wholesome level. And I've started to actually feel bad for abled people sometimes, because they don't get to see that part of life often until like much, much later, when they get old, and then, you know, all of us become disabled usually at some point. I feel a certain level of gratefulness that I'm experiencing a life that feels really meaningful in the choices that I'm making and what I'm doing, how I'm spending my time, and who I'm around. That's not to say it doesn't have its hardships, as we've all talked about in this episode. But I think that sometimes it's important to notice the joy that comes from being chronically ill too.
Yeah, I agree with you deeply. There is definitely a grieving and a getting used to that grieving, but there's also the new that comes with it and the embracing that. Thank you so much for being with us today. You're incredible. I feel like I could talk to you forever, and hopefully you'll come back on at some point and we can really dig deep into a whole bunch of things. And
absolutely, we need it. We need it. I want to mention that up there, you see that right there up in the corner, that is a QR code. Is it on your side? I don't know where it is. It's over there. I don't know.
Somewhere. It's somewhere.
It's somewhere. Yeah. The QR code on the screen that you're seeing right now is a link directly to purchase Eshani's book, Ravishing. We got to talk more about that. We've got to talk more about living with this, you know, living with illness. And I want to get into how we talk to others, because our friends, our family, people that run into us, because for me, that is one of all of this, one of my hardest things. Because everyone has advice. Sometimes they're like, this will fix you. And it's like, there's so much more to it than I don't even want to tell you. How much sodium's in it? How many ingredients do I have to worry about? How many things do I have to look up? Can I do this? Is this going to be really healthy for me? Is this going to oh my word. So we've got to have you back on. We got to talk some more. You were amazing. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you both. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks to all our listeners as well. And I would love to be back. Hope to see you all soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eshani. Well, we're going to wrap up here in a few minutes, but I wanted to kind of just go through. We're both struggling, and we're sharing our lives with all of you in the hopes that we can inspire you, encourage you, support you, and give you a big virtual hug on your health journeys. Health journeys are difficult. They are full of ups and downs. Besides Tiphany's blood pressure, medical journey goes up and down a lot too. And we just want to be a supportive force in your life. Tiphany, I'm going to let you say a few words, and then I want to kind of close this today with just a quick message on saying goodbye to somebody that made a difference in the world last Saturday morning while I was at the hospital. But I'll go to you first.
Sounds good. I think we're all going to end in tears. I want to say to everybody, Bree and I, community is super important to us, and being able to be somewhere safe where you can talk about these things and not have the internet trolls tearing you down is really important. So we have started a community. It's in its very, very barely been birthed phase. And we would just love people to come join the community and be a part, like just be this safe space where people can talk about what's been going on. We can advocate for each other. I was even the type of thing where I was like, Bree, put me on FaceTime. Let me talk to your doctors. Like, we can be that for each other. And this is the community that we've created, and we would love for it to be a thriving, alive community. So please check us out. Bree, I'm sure you'll put the links in the notes somewhere.
Yep, I'm going to stick in the chat right now. But this is our
and link. It's 100% free.
Yeah, it's 100% free. It is a place of community. It is available in every language, so it is translated, and all our videos that'll be up there are also going to be able to be translated. We'll put some of these episodes on there. We want to connect with you. We want to hear your stories. We want to know how we can support you on your journey, and we thank you for being a part of ours. As we head out, I wanted special remembrance to Alex Preddy. If you don't know, I'm in Minneapolis. I am going through all of the things that you are maybe seeing in the news, maybe not seeing. It is an occupation. It is horrible. We worry about our neighbors and our friends constantly, and we're looking at our everyday heroes. There are thousands of us out in the streets, rapid response, doing all of the things to protect everyone in Minnesota. And Alex Preddy was doing just that. He was killed for showing his cell phone and protecting a woman who had just been shoved to the ground and was murdered by ICE. And is not, those murderers are not being held accountable. So I wanted to, he is a helper. He is out there doing the things. He was a nurse in the Veterans Administration or the VA hospital, and working with patients every day and being a helper. So just in his memory, I was at the hospital at the time when this happened, about 1.5 miles away from where it happened. And it's absolutely devastating. And our hearts go out to his family and his friends and his coworkers. A life is lost because of this, and a great man is lost. So I wanted to put that out there. And I thank you all for listening. And please help support Minnesota. We need you to anything you can do. Tell a friend, talk to people, show up, share, and prepare yourselves, because I don't want this to come to a city near you, but I'm afraid that it will. So with that, I will say, we'll see you next week, because we missed a week. So we're going to do a double week episode. I hope we'll be back next week. Another thank you to Eshani Surya. Please go out and get her book, Ravishing. And I thank you so much for listening and watching today. And we will see you next time. Thanks, everybody.